So we're going to start the press conference. Good morning. Thank you for attending. Nearly 1 year ago, city leaders stood on this step and declared a homeless state of emergency and vowed homelessness in Los Angeles, or vowed to end homelessness in Los Angeles as we know it. Since that time, they've compiled an assortment of ideas, many which come from community organizations such as LA Can, which lead a pathway or talk about ways to end homelessness in the city. They consider that assortment of ideas a plan. They also campaigned aggressively to get bond measures and ballots on the ballot this year. Proposition HHH, which we emphatically support, which we will be out in the community encouraging voters to support and vote for, because we know that without Proposition HHH, there will be no political will in the city of Los Angeles to invest local resources into the ultimate solution, that's housing the homeless. We know that without Triple H, the city of Los Angeles and our politicians in this building will do what they've always done: continue to criminalize. Instead of, as we say, promoting house keys, not handcuffs, they will promote handcuffs, not house keys. The banner behind you says, "Welcome to Garcettiville," because we believe that since 1 year ago, conditions have not gotten better, they've gotten worse. That for the most part, all of the strategies that have been put forth are long-term strategies, not strategies that meet the immediate needs of people on the ground. And while we support long-term strategies, we cannot ignore the crisis, epidemic, social proportions of houselessness in this city. Los Angeles is indeed a tale of two cities. If we pan these cameras around, we see cranes stretching across our skylines. Cranes for the rich and the prosperous. Well, right below those cranes, tents are rising at the same fever pitch. Homelessness is up 20% from a year ago. Last year, 1 in 22 black men were homeless in the city of Los Angeles. 1 in 47 black women were homeless in the city of Los Angeles, as compared to 1 in 275 all other races, all genders. We're saying if it is in fact a homeless state of emergency, we have got to move out like it's a homeless state of emergency. Today's press conference will talk about what we see as community organizations coming down the pike unless we do things about the housing situation. Our speakers will talk about criminalization and the costly ways in which it's dismantling efforts such as Prop HHH, if it passes, in the forthcoming election. We will talk about HHH, and then we will issue a set of demands. Our first speaker this morning is Thelmy Perez with the Los Angeles Housing Collective.
Good morning and welcome to Garcettiville, the homeless capital of the USA and also the rent burden capital of the USA. Garcetti's homeless deputy yesterday warned people to stay away from Los Angeles unless they had savings and a place to stay, because she stated that they are global changes impacting locally that are the culprits of the housing crisis that we're in today. We disagree, and it is clear that local decisions and local indecision are the cause of the homeless crisis and the housing crisis that we see today. Let's not forget, Eric Garcetti was the president of the city council for 8 years, and we have been warning him for over a decade about this crisis that has always been looming. Now he is the mayor. For decades, low-income renters, homeless residents, and advocates have pleaded with Garcetti to take action before it was too late. In 2010, he capitulated in front of a meager 4-month rent moratorium during one of the greatest economic collapses that we have experienced in our lives. Today, we have the highest rent burden in the nation. 62% of our residents of the city of Los Angeles are tenants. Over 60% of those residents are rent burdened, paying unaffordable rents. And of the poorest 20th quintile of renters, 8 out of 10 families are severely rent burdened, paying over half of their incomes just towards rent. And that includes over 250,000 families right now that are paying over 90% of their incomes just towards rent. This is unsustainable, and every month we are seeing waves of families being pushed out onto the streets under Garcetti's watch. And as part of Garcetti's plan, I would say. Most egregiously, Garcetti has not been a bystander, but he is an active participant in the disappearance of affordable housing and for the extremely low-income people that our city needs to house. Last month, he stood at Jordan Downs and swung a golden sledgehammer in celebration of the demolition of 700 units of public housing. Public housing is our city's only permanent affordable housing source for our lowest income families. And it's not only Jordan Downs that we have lost. We have also lost public housing at Dana Strands under Garcetti's watch, Rose Hills Courts under Garcetti's watch, and now they're proposing demolishing Rancho San Pedro. When will it end? As all these families flood the streets, what bold changes is Garcetti what bold actions is Garcetti taking as this homeless state of emergency? Exiting through the back door? Putting the burden on the shoulders of voters? Garcetti, it's time to take action. We need to make sure that we are keeping people housed and that we house people who need housing. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Hernandez, Los Angeles Community Action Network organizer. We are here today to stand and support Proposition HHH. Proposition HHH is a $1.2 billion bond measure that will allocate property taxes money to build from 8,000 to 10,000 permanent supportive housing units and housing to prevent people from getting on the streets during a 10-year period. However, we want to ensure that all resources allocated to Prop HHH go to building very low-income building housing. Because in the past we have seen so many times resources for the homeless go to the LAPD to police the people on the street. We also want to make sure that Angelinos know the seriousness of Prop HHH. So we are doing GOTV to ensure everyone is first educated to it and they go and vote. We also want to ensure that the city stop that criminalizing of the people living on the streets. We can't continue to arrest today the people that we plan to house tomorrow. Also, the job of the city newly added Committee on Homelessness need to assure that their power is used to house the unhoused and not criminalize them. We also want community representation on the newly Prop HHH committee board to guarantee transparency is there. We understand that Prop HHH will not solve the homelessness crisis overnight. So until there is housing for everybody, there are several things that the city can do right now to support public healthy issues to people living on the street. Mayor Garcetti, we have 3 demands today that you can do it right now. Drop off cleaning supplies to the people living on the streets so they can clean up the streets. Immediate access to fulfill basic necessities 24/7 as drinking water, showers, and toilets. Stop the quality of life enforcement. Please, we urge you to act now. Thank you very much.
Good
morning. My name is Hamid Khan. It is spelled H-A-M-I-D. Last name is spelled K-H-A-N. I'm an organizer with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. Welcome to Garcettiville. We're just 2 blocks east of here. The dirty divide between extreme affluence and extreme poverty is determined by a line so thin, yet so blatant and obvious, that the exhaust of fancy cars parked by valets can be inhaled by another human, surrounded by LAPD officers, for the mere act of sitting on the sidewalk, because Los Angeles Municipal Code 4118D states, and I quote, "No person shall sit, lie, or sleep in or upon any street, sidewalk, or other public way." Of course, a decision of the courts, hard fought by local community, has given them a brief respite between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. Yet, for the rest of the 15 hours, the body is expected to be programmed to remain upright and mobile. Welcome to Garcettiville, where the tale of 2 cities tells us a story of stores such as Pussy and Pooch, where hundreds of dollars can be spent on animal bracelets, yet Los Angeles Municipal Code 5611 is enforced to smash and grab the very last vestiges of any meaningful material belongings of those who don't measure up on a scale that determines our humanity by our capacity to consume. Welcome to Garcettiville, where failed policing programs like the Safer Cities Initiative are renamed Reset, so that LAPD can hide behind the facade of community policing and methodically sequester the unhoused into even more tighter quarters, so developers can make bigger lofts for single residents that could have housed multiple families. And welcome to Garcettiville, where the city has turned a complete blind eye to even simple experiments that even the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is now undertaking to train their officers to try something different, something a little bit more humane when dealing with the unhoused and homeless community. We say that Mayor Garcetti has not only failed to show leadership after the much-touted homeless plan a year ago, but has actively presided over further criminalization of poverty and homelessness. And unlike the Hoovervilles of 90 years ago, Garcettiville remains on a fast track to deal with poverty and homelessness with more police brutality and violence. This will not stand. The people remain resilient and strong and will reclaim the space. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Craig, and of course I'm with LA CAN, Los Angeles Community Action Network. I am a daily witness, since I live on Skid Row, and as a longtime resident, 12 years of Skid Row, I'm a daily witness to the pain and suffering of those who are houseless, who live in tents on the concrete of Skid Row, Garcettiville. I'm witness to the pain that they feel suffering under the criminalization, smash and grab techniques of LAPD unleashed by Garcetti. I'm a witness to the pain and suffering of the broken promises they've received from Garcetti and other politicians in the area. What we are doing today is calling attention to this nearly one year anniversary of the rhetorical state of emergency. Garcetti has in the past talked about a war on homelessness while actually conducting a war on the homeless people, the unhoused. This is Garcetti's last chance, in my opinion, to do something that he promised to do a long time ago, and that's take immediate action to alleviate some of the pain and suffering of the people on the street while we work on the longer term solutions of permanent supportive housing. Those are the real solutions. In the meantime, we are demanding that Garcetti, 1, have access to facilities 24/7 for unhoused people. Facilities like mobile restrooms and showers. Facilities like volunteer storage. And facilities like more water fountains, especially than the 2 they recently taken out. We need water fountains all year round on the street, not just 2 or 3 months during the summer. Secondly, we have a demand to fill the need of residential cleaning supplies for the people on the street to clean the areas that they live on. Supplies like soap and bleach and brooms and mops and trash cans and trash bags so that they can do the job that the fake Operation Healthy Streets put out by Sanitation Department and LAPD should be doing, which they aren't doing, which is cleaning the streets. We'll help the residents by giving them cleaning supplies provided by the city to clean their area and maintain their health. Third, we call for the immediate calling off of the dogs. The dogs of war. Garcetti's paramilitary units known as LAPD, which are out there doing smash and grab and doing harassment and physical brutality on the houseless on a daily basis. We call for him to stop the enforcement of quality of life crimes, quote unquote, like the right to rest, the right to have property on the street. We call for Garcetti to immediately, with the stroke of a pen, call off his dogs, the LAPD, and start to support the things he's talked about doing in the past. We need immediate action by Eric Garcetti, some proof that he really cares and has compassion for the homeless instead of his usual rhetoric. Thank you.
That concludes our press conference, but if you have any questions before we conclude, are there any questions of the press, of any of the speakers?
What is your last name?
Craig Roberts. Roberts.
C-R-A-I-G?
Yeah, C-R-A-I-G.
Pete, P-E-T-E, White, W-H-I-T-E.
And you're going to be bringing these demands to the City Council today?
So we are going to bring the demands to the City Council in our special way this morning.
What is that special way?
We're special.
The LA Can way.
Okay. Fair enough.